Welcome. My name is Matthew Cook. I'm with Arrowhead Dental Laboratory, and it is my pleasure to have on the phone with us today Dr. Jim Downs, who will be talking to us about the importance of cash flow at this time of COVID and the unprecedented uncertainty about the market and how things are going forward in the dental industry. So with that in mind, I'll go ahead and turn the time over to Dr. Downs.
Thank you, Matt. Dr. Jim Downs here. Totally, this is something I never thought I would experience, a pandemic, and typically we have other national type of natural disasters like hurricanes or floods or tornadoes or things of that sort where the understanding of how our business works is so important and going forward. Even in the sense of having stimulus provided by the government, these are things that I have used probably now just only really 3 times in my career. But knowing that I had a structure to go to, it's helped me get through these tough times. So I'd like to talk to you about the numbers. And in the course, when we do this course at Arrowhead, one of the things that I really harp on is having a reserve. And a reserve is looking at like having a savings business account of at least 2 months of production sitting in terms of liquidity in the event that things happen. And, you know, at the end of the year, a lot of times doctors want to make purchases, you know, instead of going and having to finance it. Here they have purchasing power and leverage where they can go ahead and buy the equipment straight up and then depreciate it with the 179. So the other part of this is not only should your practice have this reserve, and we show the doctors as well how to, at least in my mind, have 3 to 6 months of income sitting in liquidity as well before you go ahead and put it into your investment buckets. So let's look at cash flow crisis. This happens when you all of a sudden have a bunch of past due account problems. Okay, there you go. I added pandemics, earthquakes, you know, you hear them all, right? So when there's a past or present tax problem that still exists, for a lot of us, we haven't paid our taxes for 2019. We're going to have to, we got leeway here until, you know, the middle of the summer. However, you got to make sure that that's available, okay? If the doctor's taking nothing or little bit of salary, practice experiences a minor or major shortfall in 1 month. Well, here we go. It's a full month. It's going to be maybe a month and a half, maybe 2, in which case we got major shortfalls. And then, of course, the doctor's unable to put away any savings or pension due to just getting by and having, of course, a negative profit. So here's the structure that I'll be looking at here. And is when we have to, right now, I'm doing this with my wife, Dr. Nikki Lay, and we just told our team we're going to have to relook and forecast and reestablish a new BAM. And we're going to do it month by month.
You mentioned the BAM, which is an acronym for bare amount of money, which is a tongue-in-cheek way of talking about those expenses that you have to expend in order to just keep the doors open, correct?
Correct. And the reason for that is so that if you've been able to call any of your lenders and postpone any payments, like I know some of them out there, if you've got a practice loan or equipment loan, they're looking at a 90-day deferral. You definitely want to take a look at that so you can increase this cash flow. We're going to get the team totally focused on this. We just did a Zoom training, and we're wanting, you know, telling our team to practice, and then even with our associates practicing verbal skills. We did our Zoom training on our soft tissue management program and refinement of certain things in our software that just helps things more streamlined. These are opportunities to sharpen the blade. Yet we want to create a collection process for incoming money. So, we got team members going in and looking at closing out insurance claims, any appeals, getting those things back out so that the insurance companies aren't holding back money on that we need to, sending statements out, pulling up your AR account for 0 to 90 days and see who's out there, because with this, a lot of people are not going to be able to pay, and if the longer it sits out there, the more potential you're not going to be able to collect on that. We're going to then go look at no checks are dispersed other than for BAM. So what's BAM? That's probably your rent, utilities, and key employees right now. We're going to quarantine all past payables, and we're going to look at taking them from the largest credit balances and list it from the oldest to the newest. What I want you to do is create some wins. We want to create some wins and start picking at some of these to pay them off. But we're going to create a list, too, of who we still owe money to and send out here a letter. And I'm meeting with my team on a weekly basis right now during this process. And we are in the process of composing a letter to any of our creditors and announcing to them that we're creating a new financial system here, and the doctor will then start looking at it with their administrator. If you have a front office administrator, I like to call mine VP of operations, and we will quickly attend to these past due bills. We'll inform the company of a schedule we're going to have and then commit to that timeline and thank them as well for their patience in this endeavor. So to create some abundance again, because right now everyone's in a state of scarcity, we're going to look at this and we're going to just, start looking and review the end of the month. And let's say May, we're all back up and running, yet hygiene's scattered, patients coming in and they're just like, I want to do the treatment, doc, but I just can't afford it right now. Or I'm just going to do what insurance is going to pay. Okay, we're going to review as the month as we're starting to get money revenue coming back in. I'm just going to let the account build up. If you have any auto payments right now on schedule, we're disengaging those so that we can just get collections come in and then look at our BAM and then go ahead, pay those BAM expenses. And then here's the key. What is left in that balance? Say there's maybe $10,000 left in that balance. I need you to do this. I need you to start creating abundance. That means set up another business savings account. And you're going to take that balance of 10 grand, times it by 10, so that's 1,000, and you're going to slide that 1,000 into that business savings account. And you just got to do it. All right? The remaining monies, right, can be used to go ahead and continue paying off past dues. So start down that list. Oldest first, and then once those past dues are paid off, then make secondary payments to credit balances like credit cards. So right now, if you've got, and for us, we put a lot of our sundries and bills on credit cards so that we can get the advantages of the miles and things of that sort. We're making more minimum payments on that. Now, for me, we've had those 3 months sitting there in reserve, so we're able to handle this right now. Of course, those credit balances are paid off in one, but if you're a new doctor, new operation, and you've got a lot of things coming in terms of bills, you may have to take this one and just pay a little bit on it and keep the doors open and then catch up to this. Then the next month, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go ahead. You're going to tend to whatever past dues coming in. Again, here's the key. You got to keep the team motivated. Say, you guys are doing great. We're getting things back in. We got patients coming back in. People are calling. We got emergencies. Great. Let's keep everyone going and do little fun things, doctors. bring in Starbucks or bring in some donuts or bagels or whatever it is, keep the team motivated, keep thanking them that we're going to get through this together. And at the end, you just let the money come in, and at the end of the month, you're going to then look at the bills. You're going to look at what's in the account. You're going to pay down your BAM and see what's left. And if there's more in there, or even if there's like 15 in there, you're going to take 20% out of that and slide it into the savings. So you keep doing this over a period of 6 months, you're going to see all of a sudden you've got 20 grand sitting in that savings. That's going to give you abundance. You got to have abundance in your heart when you do case presentations. All right. So again, pay the highest credit balance. Now we're going to go after credit cards and credit balances. And if you've had deferral on any of these, that's going to work in your favor by month 3, month 4. Okay. But make sure you have that money sitting into your savings account. So if you need to, you can draw on that. But by then, this engine should be moving again. Your structure of your hygiene should be coming in. People are feeling more at ease about this whole situation and start moving in. And whatever money's left, we're going to take and put secondary payments on some of these large credit balances and pay them off.
Okay. So, I think people who are unfamiliar with this concept of the BAM or knowing what your base amount of money required to run your operation is, they might think this is just a simple calculation. But can you speak a little bit to the strategic and tactical significance of knowing this number as you look at the uncertainty presented by these closures, and also with the uncertainty of how you then get back into business and open your practice once this COVID cloud has lifted?
Yeah, great question. And the strategic application of this will be that if you are on the fence and this closure is putting you in a position where either, you're going to be down a month and a half, maybe 2 months, in which case you still have bills to pay, you have student loans to pay. I would totally be reaching out to those creditors to let them know. But more importantly, what they're going to want to see from you, the doctor, is that first 3 pages. What's your expectations on these areas that you're going to have to pay for? How are you going to pay for them? And what's your strategy? What's your strategy going forward and paying these? And when you look at these major categories like employees, labs, facilities, dental supplies, promotion, minors, look at all these things in minors that you would be paying for. Unfortunately, discretionary, and this is something we've already talked to our associates about. Associates are discretionary. They are not part of the employee cost. So that means, doctors, some of us may have to make decisions that those people, those part of the business I can't carry on. I'll have to get back in the trenches and do it myself. Yet this strategy here, if you go in there and you show the bank, here, this is what I got. This is my plan. Here's my what we're going to do with my team. They like that. That's called a pro forma. And having a structure is going to be critical, because they're going to go, okay, we're going to lend you $100,000, or even in this paycheck protection plan, they're looking at how you're going to pay this back. It's not going to be totally forgiven. I'll guarantee you that. The small business guy is going to be on the line here. But if you're going to have to get through this and get a bridge loan, they're going to want to know how you're going to get out of it. Last thing they want to see is that you go under and take Chapter 11 on anything in bankruptcy. So that first 3 pages, you got to fill it out. You got to see what the number is going to look like, and then give them the strategy that I went through on how you're going to get back on track.
So it sounds like you're saying that aside from being just a means of understanding what it costs you to be open and help you to make smart decisions in this time of uncertainty, it also becomes a means of communicating to potential lenders or creditors that you are aware of your expense cost and you have a plan to manage it, And I would imagine that it would give such lenders and creditors a sense of, okay, this particular practice knows what they're doing, so they are a better risk than, say, a dental practice that just shows them, says, hey, I need some money, and doesn't really have a plan. Is that kind of your understanding as well?
Absolutely. Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely. That is so true, because they're going to look at it and go, okay, where's my risk? Oh, this guy who's presenting me what they're going to do, how they got this quarantine, I'm going to take the risk on them versus someone, hey, can you give me a line of credit for $250,000? Absolutely. Without a doubt.
So let's say I'm a dental practice that hasn't done this before, and I've got downtime right now because of the closures. How would you suggest I, never having done this before, go about creating these calculations? Should I look at last year's and create a pro forma on last year and then build a model for this year, or is it sufficient just to build a model on this year? What's your thought on that?
Yes. So in our course, we always we have to build off of the year prior, so that we can look at how growth can be as well. So you'll take the 2019 numbers if you have them, and get an average for these categories. And looking now at the number of months, if you were to say, yeah, well, we did 3 months, if you got lucky to get through March, April and May may be a bust, meaning there was nothing that came in, or maybe it was just April for you. So having those 2019 numbers will give you a reference of where you can be. However, have in there a variable, maybe a 10 or 15% variable on the downside of having patients coming back in and accepting treatment.
So what do you say to the person or to the dental practice that says, hey, I have a CPA who does all this for me. This is not really something that I feel I need to focus on. Is that an accurate statement, or do you think they're leaving themselves open to risk?
I think that's a dangerous statement. If you want to be a dentist, great, then go ahead and just work for corporate. But if you don't want to be having a pulse, having your fingers on the pulse of your business, the accountant is going to create a tax document. What dentists don't understand is about cash flow. And if you're not paying attention, and that's something we highly push in the Know the Numbers course, is to understand how to recognize the trends in your business by what we call industry standards, percentages that you use in these categories of what you're paying for, and for, seeing if you've got monies left over for creating a reserve or things of that sort. Yet the number one thing here is to make sure that you don't have your head in the sand. You're watching this on a weekly, daily basis. And doctors, and more importantly, they need to be part of this, because if they're saying that about their accountant, then I can guarantee you that they're most likely being embezzled as well, because they're not paying attention to the numbers. They just go by a feeling. Things feel good. I'm busy. I'm making money. I'm taking money out of the account. It's not a good way to be a businessman or woman.
I think it's also important to note that, as this goes on, our CPAs and people who are in the financial sectors are going to be more and more inundated with questions, so they're going to be less likely to be able to dedicate time to going through and developing something like this for you. They're going to give you some boilerplate things which may not accurately represent or give a potential creditor or lender a feeling that, wow, this particular person has a real bead on their business. I mean, I think it's safe to say that there's going to be a lot more people asking for loans than there'll be potentially lenders or money to lend. And so it's going to go to the best case scenarios that are going to get the preferential treatment on that. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And if it's a first come, first served basis, you're exactly right. Having your ducks in a row so that you know exactly where those monies are going to go and how it's going to perform for you is what these lenders want to know. And I would say that's a very accurate statement.
So, I think we're kind of winding down now. So what would you tell a doctor right now who doesn't know what their BAM is, who hasn't got a savings set up? What should they be doing now so that they can prepare for the uncertainty to come, but also to plan for the future? What activities should they be engaging in right now with the time off or the downtime that they're currently experiencing?
I would definitely look at systems and seeing if everything that they've been owed. Look at their accounts receivables right now. If you're not, let's say, under a 1 month's accounts receivable, say, for example, you're collecting 80. I'll make it math simple, 100,000 a month, and you've got 100,000 sitting out on collections right now. That's your number one thing. You have to hone in on that and get the insurance claims sent out and appeals taken care of. Right now is creating cash flow. And once you start that with your team, get your team really, really focused, laser focused on that. Then start looking at what you can do for having your team getting in contact with patients and looking at that date where you're going to be allowed to reopen and start filling the schedule.
So it sounds like what you're saying is really these doctors need to go through this exercise and kind of come to an understanding what their BAM is, and then really focus on those activities that will bring cash flow in right now, especially as it pertains to the receivables and things like that. Is there anything additional that you think these doctors would benefit from understanding at this point?
Just being positive mental attitude. This will all go over. This will continue. Dr. Barnes used to always say, he's been through oil embargoes and high interest rates and this and that. And I was thinking about the other day, in my career so far, 30 years, I've been through a banking crisis in the early 90s, and then the 2000 high-tech bubble burst, and then 2008, and now this. And each one, I've just went back to basics and hunkered down and learned lessons, like having reserves and things of that sort. So going forward, you'll be much stronger out of this and know how to weather the next one.
Excellent advice. We want to thank you for your time and expertise on this topic, and we want to make sure that all those who hear this take that to heart, that we're all in this together, and that this too will pass and things will return to normal at some point in the future. But the key to success, as you've so clearly said, is to understand what your operational requirements are and be able to forecast against whatever might be coming down the pipeline. So again, thank you for your time, and we will be releasing additional information to doctors about the implications of this COVID pandemic as it applies to our businesses and the treatment that we offer our patients. So again, thank you, Dr. Downs, and we look forward to speaking with you in the future.
And with that, I wish you luck, stay healthy and happy. God bless you.